Hello and welcome back to Assetto Corsa, and today we're going to be looking at the Ferrari F2004 from Kunos's Ferrari pack, not red pack, Ferrari pack DLC. Now, first of all, I'm just going to say this car is by far, this and the F2002 is by far my all-time favorite F1 car. So, am I going to be slightly biased? Well, I'm going to try really hard not to be biased. This is the 2004 Challenger for the F1 season, and I believe it's the 50th car that Ferrari built for the F1 for Formula 1 Championship racing. So, you know, given what we've got right now, I think it's the 75-year anniversary of Ferrari. So you can see that this is quite a car for Ferrari, and it's now a little bit in the past. This is what, over a decade old. You're talking about 13 years old this car is, but that doesn't mean that it's not a fantastic car. Let me just go through the specs for you guys to drool over. It's got a V10 engine, mid-engine, longitudinally mounted. It's a 3-litre engine, 4 valves per cylinder, dual overhead cam, naturally aspirated, none of this turbo malarkey, and it produced what was it production? I think it's in Assetto Corsa. It produces 865 brake horsepower, 880 brake horsepower, which is what it was at the start of the 2004 season in was it Australia? In Australia at the start of the season, that's what it was producing. This car went on to produce some 920 horsepower, or about 900-ish bhp. So it really was quite a car. I'm running without traction control on, and I'm also not looking where I'm going there, so you're going to see some slides, some spins, stuff like that. This is a car that had traction control, and believe me, it needs it even on the lowest levels, especially when it's the first time you're driving a car like this. Other information about the car: carbon fiber honeycomb monocoque. Obviously this is standard technology nowadays, even on supercars, but back then this is what you used to get on Formula 1 cars, and pretty much Formula 1 cars only. It has a 7-speed semi-automatic gearbox, paddle shifts, rear-wheel drive, as you get from all Formula 1 cars, and it only weighed 600 kilograms, so, or thereabouts, maybe 605 kilograms, and if you want that in pounds, that's about 1,335 pounds, or thereabouts. So a pretty light car. In fact, compared to the cars of nowadays, it's incredibly light. And what did this car achieve? Well, in the 2004 season, driven by Michael Schumacher and Rubens Barrichello, it managed to secure 12 pole positions, 8 1-2s, so that's quite a bit, 15 wins out of 18 races. There were 18 races in the season, 15 wins, 13 of them with Schumacher, 2 by Barrichello. That's not to say the difference in class, that's just Schumacher is just a legend in his own right. Barrichello was an absolutely fantastic driver as well. I have absolute respect for that man. So, you know, the two of them together were a pretty solid team. Despite all the controversies that you may be thinking of or whatever, the two of them together were a really solid team. And it managed to wrap up Schumacher's 7th and final World Championship, and 5th for Ferrari in a row, might I add, at the Belgian Grand Prix, where he started in 1991. So quite a special car in that right. What is there to say about this car? It's absolutely brilliant, this car is. Just to quickly list, before I go into what the car is like in the Assetto Corsa, the wins that it had. The Australian Grand Prix, the Malaysian Grand Prix, the Bahrain Grand Prix, the San Marino Grand Prix, the Spanish Grand Prix, European Grand Prix, the Canadian Grand Prix, the USA Grand Prix, the French Grand Prix, the British Grand Prix, the German Grand Prix, the Hungarian Grand Prix, the Italian, Chinese and Japanese Grand Prix. Every track you could possibly think of. Interestingly enough, it didn't win in Monaco. I think this was this not David Coulthard's year in Monaco? Or was it Montoya's year? I can't remember. I think it was definitely a McLaren that won this year in Monaco. But anyway, that's beside the point. What is it like in Assetto Corsa to drive? Well, where do I start? Modelling, texturing, absolutely fantastic. Yes, it doesn't have the Marlboro cigarette branding. Obviously, that's because of content rating, sponsorships, and all of that kind of stuff. There's mods out that will give you that straight away if you really want the authentic look. Personally, I'm obviously showing this on video without that. for various reasons, but you can put them back on. I might put them back on, not because smoking's bad, but it's classic. It's just how the livery goes in the similar way to the Williams Martini liveries and the old liveries of, well, so many old liveries. So it doesn't have those, but the texturing's absolutely fine inside and out. The wheels look great. You can see the grooves on them. The slicks were actually grooved back then, so you can see that. Bridgestone tires, so you can't really read the Bridgestone writing, but I do take my word for it, it is definitely Bridgestone tires. Inside the cockpit, very well textured actually. I love the gloves, everything looks great. You can see down the side it's got the FIA branding, the certificate for the chassis, it says Ferrari. I spun it off again. I tell you what, without traction control, this is not an easy car to drive, especially for a first time drive. The display in the middle, now that display, it just, I don't know, I've seen better displays than that of a car like this, and I think that it's just been simplified a little bit too much. So yeah, that's maybe one slight knock for this car. But moving on from that, let's move on to the sounds of this car. Bang on. It's just bang on. There is no sound that compares to the sound of a V10 Ferrari Formula 1 car, except maybe a V10 McLaren Formula 1 car, or a V10 BMW, or a V10 Cosy, or any V10 era. And this was probably the greatest of the V10 cars, and if not the greatest F1 car of all time. I know that the lap records are now being beaten by the 2017 car around some tracks, but out and out, this car is superior to the 2017 car in every which way. Maybe it's not as fast around the corners or anything, but the feel of this car is great, and that sound plays a huge part in it. I don't think Assetto Corsa have done a sound this accurate before, ever, full stop. I genuinely don't. It sounds absolutely perfect. The traction control noises, the noises of upshifts, the downshifts, the crackle coming from the exhaust as you go through the gears. Even on the outside, the way it screams as it comes towards you. It's that noise that every child knows. When they think racing car, that noise is the noise they make. Listen. That's the noise, that Doppler effect, that is the exact same noise that every child makes when they think racing car. It's one of these, it's a V10 engine, it's absolutely beautiful, and Kunos have got it bang on. I know sometimes I've slated them for their sounds, and that's why I do. I'm very harsh when I review cars, and I have slated them for saying sounds are too quiet, sound wrong, they're a little bit muffled, distorted, whatever. This time, they are not, and I am so glad that it's a Ferrari Formula 1 car that they've managed to absolutely hit the nail on the head with. It's brilliant. The sounds are brilliant, but that's nothing compared to the physics of this car. This car drives like a classic Formula 1 car. You don't have that huge amount of downforce. Obviously, this car's in the Formula 1 2017 title as well, and you can tell the difference between the two cars. You can tell where the F1 2017 is a little bit more what's the best way to put it, a little bit more arcadey, but it's still a good title. But this just shows how aggressive, how brutal this car is. I think this lap is going to be my fastest lap of the race. Obviously, if you're wondering why the tire temperatures app is not working properly, it's because I haven't updated it. But I think this is the fastest lap of the session that I'm going to do here. The physics on this car are absolutely brilliant. You have to take into a corner slowly, and it's more of a point and squirt. Get yourself straightened up and then just floor it out of the corner. Let it rev up to 18,500 RPM. Yeah, this car went up 18,500, 19,000 RPM. And that's where the power is, by the way. Right up there, 18,000 RPM. Any lower than that, you're not getting maximum power. But it's just brilliant. It honestly is a brilliant drive. It rides the curves well. You've got to really throw it into the corner. It does have that tendency to oversteer and understeer, depending on the corner configuration. It's not inherently as balanced as planted as a modern F1 car. because of the downforce, like the 2017 ones, but it's got so much mechanical grip, it's got so much charisma and character that without a doubt, even with the slight niggle that I have on that heads-up display, I have to give this car an 11 out of 10 for an Assetto Corsa. It's just, you know, I said I wasn't going to be biased, but Assetto Corsa have done the most incredible job with this car, and I could drive this around for hour upon hour. Unfortunately, I can't because I have a lot of other videos to make. And so 11 out of 10, this car on its own is worth the purchase of the Ferrari pack. It's worth the however much it costs. Is it £5 or whatever it is? It's worth that price. It's that incredible. Thank you very much for watching. Please remember to hit the like button if you like this video. Subscribe to the channel for more videos on Assetto Corsa. Leave a comment in the comments box below letting me know what you think of the Ferrari F2004. And admittedly, this wasn't my fastest lap that I did. I did a 132. It's not as fast as I think I can take it. I can grab a lot more out of it. But unfortunately, that's going to have to wait for another video. So, I'm going to leave you guys here, and do support my Patreon scheme. Last thing to mention, a link to that is in the description box below. I'd massively appreciate your support. And if you do support me, let me know that you're coming from the Assetto Corsa video. I'll see you guys in another episode where I'll probably be reviewing... should I go for a road car? Yeah, I think I'll go for a road car next, and then I'll go back to a Formula 1 car. I'll see you guys then.